Hey everybody, and welcome to another comic book review. In this video, I'll be talking about Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. Kingdom Come is one of the most celebrated DC comics ever. It's a 4-issue miniseries written by Mark Waid, painted by Alex Ross. Yes, painted. And the art is beautiful. It's Alex Ross, so it's going to be good. But the story revolves around the fact that superheroes, a lot of the old Justice League members have retired, and some of them have kind of went into exile. Some of them are just kind of living life on their own terms, and meanwhile, there's a new kind of resurgence of other metahumans, other superheroes, I guess you could call them, but they're more so waging war over territory as opposed to helping out other people. And their morals are very questionable. So whenever a character, metahuman named Magog, causes a absolutely catastrophic event that basically wipes out all of Kansas, Superman feels compelled to get back into action, and so do a lot of his colleagues, namely Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. Batman does too, but Batman is kind of forming his own side apart from Superman. And then there's this group called the Mankind Liberation Front that's led by Lex Luthor, and they have Shazam on their side, Captain Marvel, and basically he's going to use Captain Marvel to sort of take back humans' reign over the metahumans. So it's like this whole giant complex story with beautiful, beautiful art and wonderful writing, great storytelling. And it's this whole big thing. And the cool thing that I like about this story is it's told from the perspective of a pastor named Norman McKay. He is basically who you view the whole story through the eyes of. It starts off from Norman McKay's perspective, and he is visited by the Spectre, and is kind of serving as a witness to all of the events that are going on and all the wars between the superheroes and the things that are happening. And he's realizing that Armageddon is going to come if somebody doesn't do something. So he's kind of bearing witness to all of this. He and the Spectre are. And it turns out that he might have a larger part in this big event than he realizes. It's a wonderful, wonderful story. Now, I remember the very first time that I read this book was a few years ago, and I simply did not get it. And looking back, I don't know what it is about it that I didn't get. I don't know why I thought it was hard to follow. Because I absolutely loved it the second time around. I think it's brilliant. The writing is on point. It's much easier to follow than I remembered it being. And like one of my other favorite DC comics, DC The New Frontier by Darwin Cook, this book does a phenomenal job at weaving together multiple different characters, multiple different storylines, and making it feel cohesive and easy to follow, and still very entertaining and accessible, and providing a lot of thrills and some really weighty, serious, dramatic moments as well, while still never losing its sense of fun. This book honestly blew me away. The second time I read this book, just very recently, I was blown away. And I don't know what it is about why I didn't understand it the first time. Maybe it was just, I I was too young and didn't have the attention span. I don't know what it was, but reading through this a second time, I love this book now, and I can totally see why so many other people do. I can totally see why it's as celebrated as it is. I think it's awesome. Kingdom Come is a masterpiece. I can't recommend this highly enough. I think it's wonderful. Now, the only thing is, I feel like because it was so beneficial to me to read it multiple times, I feel like it might, I don't know if it's going to be the case for everybody, but it is the kind of book that I feel like does improve greatly with rereads. And I can't wait to read it again as well to figure out some of the stuff that I missed on the second time. There are so many details that are packed into this book. There's a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of really, really cool stuff that they do with characters. And I feel like one of the things that threw me off about the story the first time was because it's such a gigantic story, and it's honestly, the first time I read it, I thought it was very overwhelming. But now, upon rereads, I see how accessible it really is. They do a lot with a lot of different characters, but they also add in characters that I had never even heard of before. But I realize I don't have to have heard of the characters before to understand their significance to the story. I think that was what really helped me to love this book as much as I did on this most recent reread. And I can't wait to see what other things I pick up on a third, fourth, fifth reread. This book is awesome, and I have a great level of respect for it. I've always been a fan of stories that improve with age, that improve with multiple rereads. I love that kind of stuff, and this is definitely one of those books. I can't recommend it enough. Like I said, Mark Waid's writing is awesome. Alex Ross as an artist, his visual style is unmistakable. You know whenever you're looking at Alex Ross's art, because it's so very visually distinctive, and you know that it's him. You know when you're looking at an Alex Ross painting that it's done by Alex Ross. He does something very, very interesting. He uses actual like human models to base his work off of. Like, for example, Norman Mackay, he used a real life person to draw Norman Mackay. I believe it was his own father. And it's really cool how he uses friends and family of his as a visual reference to paint these characters. And it gives it a very realistic approach that is unlike any other art that I've seen in comics before. It almost, I mean, it feels photorealistic. Like, you can tell it's painted. You can tell it's like not photos, but it is incredibly, incredibly realistic. And the way that Ross is able to draw very, sci-fi inspired art with lasers and effects and all kinds of different stuff, he's also able to give it a very human look, and it looks incredibly realistic, which is something that I've only grown to appreciate more and more the more I read Alex Ross books, like the more I look at his art. This guy's a genius, and his work in this book in particular is absolutely masterful. This book is fantastic. One thing I like about this particular edition of Kingdom Come is the actual story is only about half of the length of this book. The rest of it is extensive supplemental materials, sketches, research, all kinds of stuff, cover art. You can tell this was a labor of love. This was a passion project on a whole nother level. Very similar to The New Frontier by Darwin Cook. I could tell reading this that Mark Waid is a student of DC. Like, he is an absolute master when it comes to knowing his stuff regarding history of DC Comics and different characters and very obscure characters that a lot of people don't know about. He goes all out in this book, just totally knows his stuff. And the fact that like almost half of this book is supplemental materials and research and sketches and all of that just shows how passionate he was about writing this book and how passionate Alex Ross was about drawing and painting this book as well. This is one of the greatest DC comics of all time. I think it's fantastic. Absolutely read this. If you can get your hands on a copy of this, I do think it is worth purchasing. Definitely read this book if you haven't. And if you have, read it again, because if you're anything like me, you'll discover things on rereads that you might not have before. I think Kingdom Come is awesome. Those are my thoughts on it. Thank you as always for watching. Look forward to more videos in the future, and have a great night.